And we're continuing with the 12th chapter of Dragons in the Waters, which is called The Return of the Phair. The afternoon sun beat down on the Orion. Dr. Eisenstein nodded in her desk chair. Dr. Wordsworth poked her. "Ruth, come look at this." She pointed down at the dock. Dr. Eisenstein pulled herself out of her chair and went to the rail. She laughed with pleasure as she saw a man asleep in a rope hammock which was slung under the side of a large truck, so that the man slept in the shadow of the truck as comfortably as in between two trees. "We should take a nap too," Dr. Wordsworth said. "But Englishmen detest a siesta." Dr. Wordsworth stretched slowly, languorously. "My English blood grows thinner by the hour. I have discovered that I love my country. Why doesn't Tartaro let us leave the ship? Vermeer said that permission should come through any moment." Dr. Eisenstein moved in the shade of the canvas canopy. "It does seem odd. I understand that Dr. O'Keefe has been allowed off." "Official business," Dr. Wordsworth said. "He's here at the invitation of the Venezuelan government, and now that Jan has been apprehended, I guess it was easy enough to relax regulations for him. He went off with several pompous-looking officials." "Where did you learn all this?" "Vermeer. Oh, Ruth, I wish there was something we could do." "Do you want to play cards? I mean about finding Simon. Let's go take a siesta." Dr. Eisenstein leaned back in her chair. "I was having one when you woke me up." "Sorry, go back to sleep." Dr. O'Keefe returned to the Orion, hot and depressed. Charles and Polly were not in their cabins. Polly, he assumed, would be with Geraldo. He undressed and took a cold shower. His preliminary investigations of the lake had not been encouraging, and the head of department who accompanied him had not been optimistic. Most worrying was a chemical plant from which O'Keefe guessed that a dangerous amount of mercury was escaping into the lake, although "any amount is dangerous," he said to his guide, a distinguished-looking man from Caracas with the incredible name of Geiger, pronounced Phair. Phair told him that to keep poison from infecting the lake would be enormously expensive. He himself was highly alarmed because the chief of public health had reported cases of mercury poisoning. I very deliberately drove you through the barrio," Phair told O'Keefe. "You have seen for yourself what conditions are like there, and you will guess that there may well have been other cases which have not been reported. Life is less important to the business barons than their profit shares." It was going to be difficult to shake up this greed so that a beautiful lake would not be destroyed, taking along with it a great many human lives. "What about the water by the Quistano settlement?" "It is unpolluted thus far, but unless the industrial effluents are expelled elsewhere, it is inevitable that the whole lake will suffer. We are further handicapped by the fact that there are many people in high official positions who consider that the people of the barrio are themselves pollutants, and that, if a great many of them should happen to die off, it will be helping to curb the population explosion." "I gather you do not sympathize with this view?" O'Keefe asked. Phair shook his head. "No, but it makes it more difficult for us to impress the business barons with the seriousness of the situation. Add to this that many foreign powers have interest in our oil wells and chemical plants, and you will see that our efforts could be turned to provoke an international incident." "But you will make the efforts anyhow?" Phair nodded. "This is why we asked you to come. Words from a man of your reputation will hold more weight than anything one of our own scientists could say." Greed, Dr. O'Keefe thought angrily as he stood under the cold shower. Is the same kind of greed behind the murder of Phair and the kidnapping of Simon and Tom. When he was dressed in clean shorts and shirt, he went to check on his children. Geraldo told him that Polly had gone back to her cabin, and he found her there, scowling at her little icon. She looked up. "St. George isn't killing dragons anymore, is he, Daddy? He's not going to be able to save Simon and Uncle Father. He's only a piece of paper pasted on wood. I hate him." Dr. O'Keefe said, "You never thought your icon was a miracle worker, did you?" "No, but it used to make me feel that dragons could be killed if there was a St. George around." "Don't you still feel that way?" "Most of the St. Georges I know have been killed by the dragons, like Joshua, and Quentin Phair was never a St. George at all. Daddy, if Simon and Uncle Father are all right, we should have heard by now." "This isn't like you, Polly," her father said. "The worst thing you can do for them is to give up hope." "Okay, I'll try to hold on. You'd better go looking in on Charles. I think he's upset about something. Where is he? In the cabin. Dr. O'Keefe left his daughter and walked up the starboard passage to the cabin. He looked in and saw Charles lying face down in his bunk. Dr. O'Keefe touched him lightly on the shoulder. Charles? Charles turned over and startled his father with his pallor. His eyes were red from weeping. Charles, what is it? It has been an appropriate time for a man to cry, Charles said. He turned over and once more buried his face in his pillow. Dr. O'Keefe watched him for a few moments, then left. When his children were very small, there was usually something which he could do to ease whatever was troubling them. Both Polly and Charles had moved beyond that stage, and he felt helpless and heavy of heart. He went to the salon looking for Mr. Theo. Simon crouched, eyes closed, waiting for the boot to kick him again. It was not going to be an easy way to die, and he was certain that the soldier was going to kill him. Then he heard a twing and a shout. He opened his eyes, and the soldier was dancing about in pain, an arrow through the hide of his boot and into his foot. From every direction, it seemed, came bronze young men in bright tunics carrying spears and bows and arrows. And we will pause there.